I've spent several nights the past couple of weeks recording shitty videos about Fallout 76 and what I think of certain aspects that we know about. While doing that, I rambled off onto some Fallout 76 being a live service rant, and all the awful shit that comes with that. But I did think of something. Something that I think Bethesda is uniquely positioned to create. The idea of a live service MMO-ish game with a narrative focus has a lot of potential pitfalls that I'm concerned about. I can think of one area, one specific spot where this game could shine. With the game being online only and all of the humans being players, I think Bethesda is positioned to take the risk of letting the players choose where the story goes. I think they could create an actual experience like so many live services say they want to be. They can create a world that changes based off of the player's actions. I think Bethesda has created a platform for a live service that is more than just a way to make money. It's a way for story to develop through characters, through the people that are playing the game. It doesn't have to be something that ties you to strict roleplay. It can be a game where you just dick around. But the world's going to change, whether or not you're involved in that change. If you just want to grief people, fuck it. But if you want to develop the world, if you want to take steps to prevent things from happening, if you want to stop people from nuking the world, or if you just want to be the one that nukes it, you can be that person. It doesn't matter if only 10 people or only hundreds of people get that experience of launching nukes, as long as they're launched, or even if they're not. I think in this sort of game, the idea of everyone experiencing the same story is a little ridiculous. Or at least, sticking to the idea that all players should be given the opportunity is a little bit ridiculous. But in this type of game, you'll either dilute the experience by making it generic to make everyone feel like they weren't left out, or you can be ballsy and say, we're going to create some bomb-ass narrative that not everyone's going to get to do the same shit in. Every time an event happens, it could be something new, something unique. You could have an event where a nuke is launched, where in X days, Y faction comes and investigates or overruns the area. And when a nuke is launched, it is launched on all servers. After the nuke is launched, the area it hits is permanently changed, not only for a few hours or a day and then going back to normal, and not only on your server. Nukes could take several parties of characters rallying together to get to, players could go and stop them, and if after all of that time the players still fail to launch nukes, say after a year, then you could have some NPC faction take control of the nukes, maybe threaten to launch the nukes. Maybe they have a plan that if they're not stopped, they'll put into motion. And I know that the way I'm speaking, it doesn't come off as if I'm very excited, but I do get really excited about this. The idea of a sort of pen and paper RPG feel, but in a video game. That feeling of a world adapting to the choices you make or the choices you didn't make. Divinity Original Sin is one thing, but to look at a story that actively changes based off of the choices you are or that you are not making, collectively as a group of players, the entire player base of 76. It's just something we haven't seen. It's something that I think is really cool to have the development studio actively working with and or against the players as we're engaged in this story that they create for us. There are some obvious lore concerns with doing this, but I think there are some really big obvious lore concerns with what has already been presented to us already. Not just the story that we've seen already, but how it'll move forward. The idea of having a bunch of players that are able to grief each other and to socialize with each other. You can say there's not going to be griefing, but people always find a way. And those things, you know, to some extent you could say that raiders would be griefers, and yeah, maybe to some extent, but they wouldn't be breaking meta to grief you. I think the biggest thing that would get in the way of this would be the amount of money that it would take to commit to this sort of project. And I understand Bethesda would have to spend a lot of money on this, and not just money, they'd have to spend the time and the staff, and that means taking away skilled employees and their time from other potential projects they could work on to have them work on this. I don't think there's any real doubt that it would be less lucrative for them to go down the path that I've proposed. Depending on how Bethesda's planning to monetize the game, this could be significantly higher than what they've currently planned to spend. Creating new weapons, new armor, and new skins is obviously going to be much more inexpensive On top of just the cost, it would also have to be something that the developers want to do. If you know, it could seem like a good idea, but if you don't have people that are motivated to do it, then you're not going to get any quality product. At the end of the day, I know this won't happen, but damn, I'd be fucking impressed if they did it. And I think it's something that'd be cool to see any developer at least try to pull off. So let's see how it works.